Hello, everyone at Melling School again, and to anyone else watching this assembly, of course. This is the second assembly now that I'm doing about this time of year that we're in. I'm going to ask a question a little bit later to see who can remember the name of this time of the Christian year that we're right in the middle of at the moment. So you might want to put your thinking caps on about that. But first of all, I'm going to show a series of pictures now. They're going to come up on the screens next, and when each picture comes up, someone might like to pause the video, and I want you to think about and have a quick talk to each other about what the picture shows. And then when we've seen the 6 pictures, there's going to be one obvious thing anyway, that links the 6 pictures together, one thing that they all have in common, something that they're all about in some way. And yeah, so I want you to look at these 6 pictures, have a think what each picture shows, and then see if you can think about something that links all 6 of the pictures. So how did you get on with that? So 6 pictures, weren't there? The first one was wrapping a present, getting ready to give a present. The second one was a suitcase that was being packed, ready for a holiday. The third one was someone getting dressed, getting their shoes and socks on, weren't they, ready to go out? Then the fourth one was a room that was ready, or getting ready for a birthday party. It was decorated ready for a birthday party, wasn't it? Then the fifth one, I think it showed some children decorating a tree, getting ready to celebrate Christmas. And the last one was a room being decorated ready for a new baby that was on the way. So the one thing that linked all of these, isn't it, is that they're all to do with getting ready or being ready for something. Say getting ready to give a present, getting ready to go on holiday, getting ready for Christmas. All those pictures were about getting or being ready for something. Now then, in the assembly I sent through last week, as I mentioned at the start, we're right in the middle now of a special season in the Christian year. And I wonder if anyone can remember what we call it. That's it, it's Lent, isn't it? Give yourself a pat on the back if you remembered that. And Lent, as I said last week, is the period of time that leads up to Easter from Ash Wednesday. And it's based on the time that Jesus spent in the desert preparing for the work that God had sent him to do. And he knew that work would not be easy, and in fact it would eventually lead to his death. And as we saw in the short cartoon video I included last week, Jesus, to prepare for this work, went off into the desert alone. For 40 days and 40 nights he didn't eat or drink anything. And during this time he was also tempted to do several things that he knew were wrong or not the right thing for him to do at that time. And he resisted that temptation. Here's just a little bit of that cartoon again now to remind us of it. Not going to show it all again, hopefully you remember it from last time, but here's just a clip to remind us of the cartoon, the story of Jesus' time in the desert.
Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness among the wild animals.
Oh, hey there, friend.
For 40 days and 40 nights, Jesus didn't eat anything.
Shush.
So he was hungry.
And during that time that Jesus spent in the desert, he didn't give in to the temptations and didn't do anything wrong. And we thought then a little bit last week about what temptation is and how we can resist the temptations that we face like Jesus did. Remember I told the story of the boy at school and all, at home and school, and all the different temptations, and hopefully you all helped to tell him not to give in, not to do those things that he was tempted by. Jesus resisted the temptations that he faced, and they say it's good to think about how we can do that like Jesus did. And then, at the end of the 40 days, Jesus left the desert and began the work that he had come to earth to do. His time in the desert had prepared him for that work. For Christians, then, at the end of Lent, Easter is a really special time, the most important time of year, because it's when we remember the death and resurrection of Jesus. And just like Jesus had to be prepared for the work that God called him to do, Christians want to be prepared for the celebration of Easter. And so we use Lent as a time to think more about God, to go to special church services and pray. Having to do a lot of that a bit differently this time because of the pandemic and using videos like this and on Zoom and that kind of thing. But still, a special time of year to prepare us now for Easter at the end of this time of Lent and to remember all that Easter is all about. So the purpose of Lent is for Christians to set aside time to reflect on Jesus' life and also to help them to think of others who are not as fortunate as we are. And this then links to the theme of sacrifice. It's a strange word, isn't it? Wonder if you know what sacrifice means. Another way of saying sacrifice can be thinking about giving things up, not just for the sake of it, but often giving things up in order to help others and sometimes help ourselves as well. Jesus, we're told, went without food during the time he spent preparing himself in the desert. That was a sacrifice that he made. And throughout his life, Jesus sacrificed himself for others. He gave his time, his love. He healed and helped people. He gave of himself to others. He sacrificed himself in order to help people. And ultimately, Christians believe that he sacrificed his life on the cross, as we remember on Good Friday, before his rising to new life on Easter Sunday. That's the Easter celebrations that we're preparing for in this time of Lent. And so, just like temptation, sacrifice is an important theme of this time of Lent for Christians. As we recognise all that Jesus sacrificed during his life and death, we think about what sacrifices we might make, what things we can give up, what things we can give to help others, and so on, what things we can do, all following the example of Jesus. So during Lent, like Jesus going without food in the desert, Christians often give something up for 40 days. Examples might be giving up chocolate or biscuits or not watching television. Can you imagine doing things like that? And also then, in recent years, there's been a move towards doing something good during Lent instead of giving something up. And that's still a sacrifice that we can choose to make, isn't it? But instead of going without something, giving something up, we choose to do something, to give of ourselves in some way to help others, just like Jesus did as well. That can be a real sacrifice and a way of giving help to others, doing things that we might not normally choose to do, making an extra special effort to help others and be kind, saying encouraging things every day to other people, even things like helping wash the dishes at home or make our beds or doing homework without complaining, and so on. All kinds of things that we might choose to do to make a difference for good that involve a bit of effort and sacrifice on our part, and they can be a real help and encouragement to others, just as Jesus helped and encouraged people. So I'm going to finish in just a moment, but as I close now, I want you to just have a think. Close your eyes and just be quiet for a few moments. Have a think about whether there's something special that you could do during this time of Lent to help someone else. And experts tell us that if we do something for 40 days, though we're not quite 40 days of Lent left now, but if we do something for 40 days, it will become a habit, something that we do automatically. So maybe that kind thing that we start doing now, we can carry it on. Wouldn't it be great if Lent helped us to carry on doing something positive for the rest of the year, doing something good that helps other people? What is it that you could choose to do, that you could give up or take up to help others, that could be a sacrifice that you make this Lent? I'm going to close with the words of a prayer now. So, dear Lord, thank you that in the busyness of life, there are times to stop and think. Help us never to be so busy that we don't have time to be peaceful and silent. Thank you for times such as Lent that remind us to think about you. Thank you for the example of Jesus and all that he gave and did. And please help us to take the time to consider what we can do to help others, whether it's giving things up or doing things, making a sacrifice. Please help us always be ready to help other people. Amen. Thanks everyone. Hope to see you all before too long. Bye for now.